Mm-mm-mm. Good morning. Welcome back. I missed y'all. I really did. We've had some interesting times here at Shofar Mountain. I had a huge project that I undertook. I met and made a new friend. We had some bad weather as far as clouds, bad weather solar wise. No power going into the batteries. And we've just been super, super busy. And so we haven't been able to do this, right? And but now we're over that crest. Blue skies are shining on us again, and so we should be back in business, right? I was driving the other day, and I passed these two full-size trees. They were covered in flowers. In February, we have croci, coming up all over the land that my wife planted a couple years ago. Pop, 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 starting to pop up. The grass is starting to turn green. I'm not ready for the ticks and the chiggers yet. I wouldn't be able to just sit like this, in duff and whatnot. But I can hear the birds. The geese are coming, through again. Skunks be dying on the road. You ever notice that? How skunks, if you live out in the country, they get hit in large numbers right before the weather gets warm for the year, early spring, and right before it gets cold for the year, late fall. I think they must have a double mating season or something. And there's a chicken going off over there. But so that's what's been going on here. Spring is springing. We have the End Times Defensive Patrolling course coming up here in a couple weeks. I have another friend and brother coming down in a couple days to take down a couple more of these trees around here that I don't feel real comfortable doing. Daughter moved on to the land, fixing up the avocottage, and she's getting ready to start her own YouTube channel. And when it's going decently, I'll let you all know. And I'll share it with you. You can go check her out if you want. So that's kind of what we've been doing here. My wife and daughter are on a trip right now, and that gets me to the subject of today's talk. It's going to sound boring at first. Don't go up and click off. EDC, everyday carry. Oh, Pastor Joe, everybody does videos on that. I know, and if I was everybody and I was doing a video, everybody on YouTube, and I was doing a video on EDC, everyday carry, I would have a table right here, and I'd start pulling out things out of my pockets and laying them out there and showing you what I carry every day. And I think half of those guys cheat a little bit and put extra stuff in there for the video, right, that they don't really carry every day if you think about it. Be that as it may, I'm sure they're all good, honest men and women who wouldn't pull the wool over our eyes. But let's talk about concepts, right? Because I'm more of a concept guy. I'm hoping that y'all are more interested in concepts and deeper thinking that you can take and then apply to your own particular situation, as opposed to, here's what Pastor Joe carries, so let me carry the same stuff. That won't do you any good, right? You have to apply the concepts to your own life. And it's bigger, it's going to get a little bit bigger, and so we're going to go there. One of my wife's hairs is hanging off of this. All right. I live out here, right? And at any given time, I'm not more than a half a mile from my house. I could walk there in a couple minutes from wherever I am, assuming I'm not injured, right? And yet and still I carry stuff on me every day that I don't use every day. Prime example, my handgun, right? I carry my handgun 24/7. Well, I don't carry it in bed, but it's right there, right? We've talked about that. Why is my dog barking? Sorry, when it's just me here, I have to be a little bit more attuned to what's going on. And so I carry my handgun. I carry a lighter every day. I don't smoke. I don't light fires every day, but I carry a lighter, long story short, because it's a whole lot easier to start a fire with a Bic lighter than it is with, 80 other ways that I know how to start a fire. If Daniel Boone had had a Bic, he'd carry one, as my good friend Ray says. And so, things like that. You work in an office, or you work in a shop, or you work in a grocery store, or a hospital, or whatever. The thought process of, well, I can't carry that. I dislike intensely the word can't. right? Have I told y'all that? Whenever anybody says you can't do that, whatever it is, I automatically think if I don't say, or what? What if I do? Then what? You know, you can't carry a gun in a hospital as a nurse. Or what? I think a nurse could carry a gun in a hospital. She or he, there are male nurses. They're highly sought after, actually. Um, they're required to wear certain things, scrubs in a lot of cases, right? Pretty light fabric. But you know what about scrub tops? They're big and they're bulky. And so a belly band with a little gun, no problem, right? You could carry a gun every day as a nurse and not get popped as long as you were smart. Well, we can't. Well, you can. I did a video recently on our commo, and it's always like that, man. Hams. Love ya. Sorta. You can't do that. They'll do a fox hunt on you. That's against the law. Yada, yada, yada. Really? What you can't do maybe has been done for years. Just saying, right? So don't just say can't. You know, don't think I can't do that. You can if you want to. And so everyday carry. Right now, this 2-week period, I think it's pretty good. You know, the country's looking pretty stable. The what's that called? The black bloc. They're white people. All right, I'm not talking about Black Lives Matter. I'm talking about the anarchists who aren't, who are running around burning stuff, blowing stuff up. They weren't, not yet. But you know, those people, the people doing the riots around the Trump thing and all that, they've kind of chilled out. They're probably tired, calling their daddy for more money or something. So that's kind of calm. I'm going to talk to you in another video in a few days about I'm not liking what's going on vis-a-vis Russia and China. That's not going the way I wanted it to. Thought it would. But right now, things are pretty calm, right? And so life is good. The crocuses are coming out. The trees are starting to bud. Let's hold hands and la 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 through the park. Okay, cool. But you don't know the future. You don't know the immediate future, and neither do I. And so you should carry things with you every day, and you should know that. It kills me when I talk to women who are at least acquainted with the concept of preparedness, and they carry a purse, you know, pretty much everywhere they go, and they don't have a knife in it or a lighter or a gun. Off-body carry's not good, Pastor Joe. Off-body carry's better than no carry. Okay? We can go there, but that's not what this video is about. But it's like, come on, y'all know better. Why don't you carry just basic items? You know, throughout the eons, and you know, this is Viking preparedness, right? And I've studied Vikings. Mankind, men and women, have carried tools for daily living. And amongst those tools were fire starters and sharp implements, right? You know, little knives to do little things. I tell you what, if you start carrying a little knife that's easy to access, you'll be amazed at how you ever lived without one. The things you have to cut during the day are amazing. And those of you, probably mostly men, who carry, you know, a little clip knife that you use, the things you cut during the day, you probably cut 50 things a day, right? It's like, how did you live without a knife before? I worked on oil rigs for a while, and you weren't allowed to carry a knife. Man, I felt naked, and not because I'm unarmed. I mean, there were lots of wrenches and things you could pick up and fight with if you had to. It wasn't about it not having a weapon. It was about not having a useful tool, right? Wow. I'm digressing a little bit. When we drive around here, and, you know, we drive a couple times a week. We depart this beautiful place and go into town for supplies. Pastor Joe's leaving Shofar Mountain, going into town to pick up some supplies. But what he doesn't know, don't you love those reality shows and that voice that comes on? But you know, we do go into town. And it's funny because when I go into town, I usually have around here on Shofar Mountain here, I'm not going to stand up and show you, but I carry my Mora, right? And it dangles down on a little snap link off my belt. And I don't carry it into town. I could. There are other people who have knives around here, but it just would look weird. And I'm not trying to be the gray man per se, but I'm also not trying to be that weird dude that always comes in here with a Bowie knife on, you know. And so I take that off, but I always have a pocket knife. But when we go into town for supplies or whatever, um, we still have daily carry, right? Everyday carry. You do too. Um, but what's in our car? I should probably do a video on that sometime. I should probably just lay out my car. There's a lot of those on YouTube though too. But we have things in our car to take care of repairs and things like that. I have a mini survival kit in there in case I forget. Really, it's not for when our little 20-minute trips, because our little 20-minute trips is just a couple hours walk home, right? And my EDC will cover that easy. But it's in case I forget when we take a longer trip. Because when we take longer trips, which is where I'm going with this, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling a little bit. See, I'm out of practice. I need to do more videos. You need to do more videos, Pastor Joe. Roger. Wilco. Over and out. But when we go further, if we go an hour away or more, we have a little package that we throw in the vehicle. And that package consists of a bug out bag. Yes, just one. Right now, and a rifle. A rifle? Oh yeah, and more ammo. And the rifle is the Kel-Tec 2000 that a brother gave me, and it takes Glock magazines. It's in 9mm, so it's not a rifle, Pastor Joe. It's a carbine. Yeah, I know, but a 100-yard shot with it, no problemo. I've done it. And it has big magazines for it, and I can stick little magazines in it if I want to. And so we take that if we're going an hour or more away. Now, why? Because see, I want you to get the concept. I don't want you to say I need a Kel-Tec 2000 and a mini Bob to go in the truck so that when we go. I want you just to think about this. An hour away by car or more is a significant distance if things go wrong and Murphy brings friends. Example, an hour away could be 50, 60 miles away, right? If you can get right on a highway and scoot. It could be 30 miles away, 40 miles away. There was a time when I would run 100 miles in less than a day. Well, that's not true. It was like 24 hours and 47 minutes, so it was a little bit more than a day. It was my best time. But come on, every 5 to 6 miles there was an aid station with food and drink and beverage, and you know, about every 10 miles I'd meet up with my crew, and if I needed socks or moleskin or, you know, a hug or something like that, I would get it. And so I used to think, yeah, I can cover a lot of distance if I have to, but I wasn't stupid enough to think I could go 100 miles in 24 hours all by myself unsupported if I had to. But injuries come along with problems. You know, your car breaks down, you go out and you get out of the car to go see what's going on. Chaos, you know, an EMP thing just happened. I don't know. You know, we're not getting into scenarios here, but a problem happened and you've got to get home and you can't. It's not normal times. Normal times, you just call your friend, they come pick you up, right? No big deal. You have friends, right? But injuries occur with survival incidents. They just do. People get a little sketchy. They quit doing things, you know, safely and methodically. They get in a hurry. They get injured, or the incident that caused the emergency causes injury. And then all of a sudden, there's panicky people. You want to avoid them. Whatever. You're not going to make the fast time that you thought you were going to make. And so you could be caught out overnight, or you could be caught out over day, or you could get in a fight. You know, zombies. You know the whole deal with the zombie apocalypse, right? That was set up by some guys called Zombie Squad, I think. I think I'm right here. And it was a great concept. At the time, people who were into preparedness and preppers were a bunch of older geezers like me, not the 20-somethings. And they wanted the 20-somethings and the teenagers to get into preparedness, and they thought, how do we do that? And so they created this thing called Zombie Squad. I don't even know if they had a cool symbol for a while, too. I don't even know if it's still a forum or whatever on the internet, or For all I know, they sell Zombie Squad knives, you know. But they started it, and I think they got ripped off on the term. Everybody liked it, and you know, I wish they'd have copyrighted it or something. But everybody started using the term. The government even used it because they thought it was fun. But it makes preparing fun. You can kind of whistle past the graveyard and laugh, right? But it was to get young people involved. And for those young people that are out there, you need to be prepared. And if your parents won't be into it, then do the best you can with what you got where you're at, right? But when you're stuck out and away, you may have a few days on the trail getting back and walking back. And so, what do you carry? We do every year for 13 years, not counting this year, we did the National Winter Bob exercise, where we would invite pretty much anybody who wanted to come out here into this environment every year but one, and live out of your bob, your bug out bag, for about 4 days, 3 to 4 days. And we would hike around a little bit with them. And invariably, everybody's bob was way too heavy and they had too much stuff in it. It was still fun. And we didn't walk that far. But see, if you're actually using your bug out bag, you're going to be moving, right? You're going to be covering ground. In my case, I'm, you know, up in Kansas City. Well, if I'm up in Kansas City, I'll probably go there. I'm out in middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, and things go bad and I got to get home. Well, I'm not just going to be setting up camp, pulling out my chair, brewing up some of this and some of that, and eating this and sharing this, and telling stories like I am now. No, we're going to be moving. Well, when you're moving, you want to be lightweight. You just want to have just what you need and not much more, right? What do you need? What do you need? Because you see, my wife has a bug out bag, and it's stout, but it's not too heavy. She can carry it. And she knows how to do a lot of things, and she can do without. I mean, she lives here, right? She's a tough woman. And so her bug out bag will sustain her life for a few days of moving on the trail. My bug out bag is heavy. It's probably 60 pounds. And honestly, if I had to carry that very far, I'd probably be dumping some stuff out of it and not carrying it. But the bug out bag we throw in the truck is not those. We have another, you know, truck bug out bag, and I think I did a video on it once. I'm pretty sure I did a long time ago. And you know, it's in a day pack, and it's packed, and it's pretty heavy. It weighs probably 40 pounds. It's packed with stuff, and I throw that in the truck. Now, if my wife and daughter, who are away now, got into a situation and they had to evac the truck, they would grab that bag, run to the tree line, and assess, you know, what's going on in themselves, get safe, okay, and then they'd probably start walking. And if it got too heavy, they could split the load because there's another bag inside the bag, a little light, you know, like gym bag thing. They could split the load between them, or they could say, oh, we don't need this, but it's there and they have it. And they have it, and we take it whenever we're going more than an hour away. Okay, what's in your office? Your stuff, not what's available. That's a good game to play too, though. What's available for a survival situation. What do you have in your office or your workplace, wherever you work? And it's a rhetorical question, but if you want to share, that's cool. When I worked for the government, I had a little survival kit about this big, like a mini bag, a mini little shoulder bag, full of all kinds of survival gear in there. And then I had a whole desk drawer. My bottom right desk drawer was survival supplies, and they were survival supplies for real, or if I had to stay at work, you know, an emergency happened and we're going to crash on something and stay at work for 24 or 36 hours or something. You know, I had ramen soup and hot pepper packets from when we got group pizza, and I'd throw them in there. And I had a first aid kit, Band-Aids, and what else? I had flashlight in there, had a knife in there, toilet paper, hand sanitizer, just kind of stuff that you see in a lot of civilian 72-hour kits, comfort items, right? But it would have made life better. But that was in my drawer, and then I had this little survival kit, and then when I came to work, I used to carry this when I worked for the government. I used to carry this man bag that was given to me in another job I had, and that had not only lunch and my cell phone in it, which at that job we had to stick our cell phone in a little locker, whatever, but it had the survival supplies in it too, that I carried all the time because I was used to doing that. And I just don't feel comfortable going places without stuff. So what do you have? What's in your wallet? Start assessing what you have on you 24/7. When you go into a restaurant and then you have to go to the bathroom. So you leave your party at the table, like, I'll be right back, I'm going to the men or the women's room. You're in the women's room or the men's room, and something happens. What do you have on you? Well, it's just over. What do you have on you? What do you have in the booth that you were sitting in? What do you have in your car? Because it's all layers, right? But you should give some real thought to that because, we all have plans, and then when things happen, they don't follow our plan, right? Well, if something happens, I read this series of books that were fair called Going Home, I think. Going Home series. It was really some guy, I could picture what the author actually looks like just from reading his book. Some guy in Florida who's a prepper, and he has a bob that he's never used. And he wrote a series of books based around this bob and then going home, and then it worked well, so he kept writing. They're okay. They're amusing. I'd like to see a movie made of it. But our fantasies don't work always the way we think they do, which is why, and I'm going to sign off now because I'm going long. Not only do you need to think about your everyday carry, and that includes layers, what's in your person, what's in your car, what's in your bag that you may have to drop or leave behind when you go to the bathroom or whatever, blah, 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 what's in your office. But something else we need to talk about is what are the basic skills you need to have? Because naked into the wilderness, if you ran naked into the wilderness, it's just a concept, It means you have nothing, and you ran into the wilderness. Could you survive? And what would you do, and how would you do that? Because if you can do that, then all of a sudden this knife, this lighter, this piece of paracord bracelet with a fish hook in it, that's all nice to have. But all it is time savers. It's not, your life does not depend on them. All right, I'll bring you something worthy coming up. I just wanted to say hi, and I was thinking about my wife taking off with her little bug out bag and the rifle, and I got to thinking about y'all. Don't get lulled into a false sense of security just because spring has sprung. What if, always in the back of your mind, what if this happens? What am I going to do right now? And then act on that. All right. Hey, more coming up. I'm back. All right. I like you guys. I'll see you later.